Welcome back. Today's story is about friendship, brotherhood, and the unexpected twists that can tear them apart. Will these brothers find their way back to each other? Let's dive in. Yesterday, we were brothers. Today, we are strangers. This might be one of the most touching and emotional stories you've ever heard. Today, I'm narrating the story from Jack's perspective. A story of brotherhood, friendship, and the sharp turn life can take. Jack lived in Texas with his parents in a cozy apartment. He had a big brother, Sal, just a year older than him. Since they were little boys, they shared a bond like no other. They were inseparable, always watching out for each other. Jack and Sal had two best friends, Adam and Joe. The four of them grew up together, neighbors whose doors were always open. They called themselves the Fun Quartet. Everywhere they went, laughter and energy followed. Whether they were playing in each other's houses, exploring the neighborhood, or simply hanging out from morning till night, the world seemed theirs to conquer. But as the years went by, life began to change. Sal and Jack, thanks to their parents' constant guidance and strict focus on education, excelled at school. On the other hand, Adam and Joe's parents were more laid back, and that difference began to show. When high school ended, Sal graduated with honors, and the following year, Jack followed suit. But Adam and Joe weren't as lucky. They couldn't graduate, and while Jack and Sal went off to university, Adam struggled to find a job, and Joe took a cashier position. University life consumed Jack and Sal, with exams, research, and new responsibilities. The once tight bond between the Fun Quartet began to fade as they met less frequently, their lives taking different directions. Joe stayed at his job, and Adam eventually enrolled in a community college, something Jack was genuinely happy about. Sal soon graduated and found a job in another city, while Jack became a pharmacist. Life was moving forward, but their brotherhood was shifting. Then, something unexpected happened. Love. Sal fell for a girl named Sarah, a neighbor who lived just below their apartment. Their mothers played matchmakers, and soon Sal and Sarah were inseparable. After a few months of dating, Sal proposed, and they married. The wedding was a joyous occasion, except for Joe. His mood was somber, his usually light-hearted nature replaced by a deep sadness that no one could ignore. Jack assumed it was because Joe's life hadn't turned out as he'd hoped. No stable job, no love, no clear future. After the wedding, Joe distanced himself even more. His replies to Sal's texts became sporadic, his presence in their lives almost non-existent. Sal tried reaching out, but eventually stopped. You can only chase someone for so long before you give up. One day, Sal, now settled in his new life, suggested they organize a trip together, a reunion to relive the good old days. Jack loved the idea. He called Adam, who was thrilled. After much persuasion, Joe agreed too. They decided to go to Spain for a week-long trip. Spain was beautiful, but the tension was there from the beginning. They hadn't seen each other in so long, and their lives were now worlds apart. Jack and Sal had promised not to mention their careers, knowing that Adam and Joe's situations were fragile. They planned to pay for everything, wanting to make it as easy as possible for their old friends. On the third day, they went to a highly recommended restaurant in Madrid. As they laughed and reminisced about the past, a couple walked in with a baby. That's when Adam asked Sal, "When are you going to have a baby?" Jack, caught up in the moment, excitedly blurted out, "Actually, Sarah's pregnant." Adam was thrilled, offering congratulations. But Sal's eyes met Jack's with a frustrated glare. He had wanted to keep it a secret, but now the cat was out of the bag. He played along, but the atmosphere had shifted. Then Joe spoke, his voice heavy with something darker than humor. "Don't worry, Sal. If the baby has big ears like yours, it'll be fine." His tone was biting, and the table fell into an awkward silence. Sal excused himself to the bathroom, leaving his phone on the table. When he returned, Adam, trying to break the tension, joked, "Hey, Sal, your love called while you were gone. Better answer before she gets upset." Sal snapped, "That's none of your business. If I want to answer, I will." His voice was sharp, almost unrecognizable. Joe jumped in. He was just trying to help. No need to bite his head off. Tension hung in the air like a storm ready to break. Jack tried to diffuse it. "Come on, guys, it's just the food." We're all a bit on edge. But Joe wasn't done. "You're good at this, aren't you, Sal? Paying for everything and acting like a hero." Sal fired back. "I invited you. You didn't have to come." The argument escalated until Joe said something that none of them saw coming. "You know why I brought up Sarah? Because I loved her first. I told you, Sal. I wanted to marry her. But you took advantage of my situation. You stole her from me." The room went silent, the weight of his words crushing the air out of them. Sal stood up, grabbed his phone, and told Jack he was going back to Texas the next morning. Joe followed him, grabbing his arm, and then the punch landed. Joe hit Sal over and over until he fell, blood pouring from his nose. Adam and Jack pulled Joe away, but the damage was done. Sal was rushed to the hospital and remained in a coma for 5 days. Joe, filled with guilt, waited outside the hospital every day. But when Sal finally woke up, he wanted nothing to do with him. Despite the attack, Sal lied to the police, saying he had simply fallen to protect Joe from prison. When they returned to Texas, the Brotherhood was broken beyond repair. They no longer spoke, no longer called or texted. The fun quartet was over, and the silence between them was louder than any of the laughter they once shared. The end. Do you think there's a chance they can become brothers again? Thank you for listening to this touching story about brotherhood and friendship. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And see you in the next video.